Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 6 Part 41 based on novel. So let's start. The torrential darkness was like 100 feet tall black curtain that hung from the heavens. Accompanied by an ancient aura, a soul surrounded by black light stepped out from the curtain. It was as if the black curtain was connected to the land from 1,000 years ago. Almost every gaze on the mountain peak was directed at the black curtain. When they saw the foot that emitted an ancient aura, their eye pupils instantly dilated. Everyone could feel the undulations of destruction from it. On another battle arena, the Qianyuan Empire's Qin Qian was alarmed by this undulation as well. His gaze quickly shifted over, his normally faintly smiling face had now become a little unnatural. Clearly, he did not like the fact that he was outshone by someone else. In the 100 Empire War, regardless of strength or background, he should be the undisputed focal point. However, the point of focus had now been seized by Lin Dong's battle. This made Qin Qian feel rather unhappy. After all, those two fellows were from a low-rank empire. Using a Yuan spirit as an offering to the martial art soul her. This Lin Langqian is rather capable. I wonder where he obtained that broken Yuan spirit. Qin Qian's facial expression was rather venomous. He identified Lin Langqian's intention with a glance, causing a surprised look to flash across his eyes. However, he was not worried. Lin Langqian's so-called killer move could not defeat him. After all, Qin Qian's reputation of being the most powerful fighter on the Nirvana Golden ranking was not mere bragging. This move should be able to get rid of Lin Dong. Such a pity. Qin Qian looked at now much more grim-faced Lin Dong as he smirked in an indifferent manner. Evidently, Qin Qian felt that the outcome of Lin Dong's battle had been decided. There was an 80% chance that Lin Dong would lose. Boom! In the sky, the curtain of torrential darkness was bubbling. Following behind the dark glowing foot was a scrawny and dried-up black illusory figure, who stepped out of the curtain unhurriedly. Eventually, its entire body was out in this arena. Swish! At this moment, everyone on the mountain peak directed their gazes towards that figure. The figure appeared scrawny and dried up. Its entire body was black in color and it was engulfed in numerous beams of dark glow, making it difficult for people to identify its facial features clearly. However, the ancient aura and sinister vibes that it was releasing terrified the entire heaven and earth. Hee. Lin Langqian's face was malevolent. He stared at Lin Dong and wiped off the blood stains on the corners of his mouth. With the black figure standing behind him, his distorted face looked extremely terrorizing. Lin Langqian snorted sinisterly, showing signs of turning into an insane devil. Following which, under everyone's attentive gazes, he slowly raised up his right hand. At this moment, killer intent and insanity began to form in his eyes rapidly. As Lin Langqian held up his right hand, the black figure behind him also raised up its willowy right arm and pointed it at Lin Dong. Buzz! As the willowy arm pointed at Lin Dong, the latter discovered that he had been locked on by an unavoidable attack. This allowed him to understand that the next deadly attack would follow him to the ends of the earth and stopped only if he was dead. Immense pressure engulfed Lin Dong, causing his facial expression to turn somber. At this moment, he could feel a strong sense of danger arising in his heart. Apparently, the fact that Lin Langqian could go to such extent had exceeded Lin Dong's expectation. Lin Dong, we have been fighting for so many years, it's time to end it. Don't worry, after finishing you off, I will take good care of your Yang City's branch family, hee. Lin Langqian smirked as his eyes became scarlet red. Yimo heavenly finger. Lin Langqian's face turned malevolent and he reached out his finger and pointed it towards the sky. The killer intent in his eyes was so intense that it seemed to solidify in an actual substance that would shoot out at any moment. As Lin Langqian pointed his finger towards the sky, the black figure behind him tapped its bony finger lightly as well. As the figure tapped its finger, the entire sky seemed to darken. The air within the light barrier dissipated and formed a vacuum space. Following which, a beam of darkness that was more than 10 feet tall shot down from the sky like a black-colored comet. It ripped through the sky and blasted towards Lin Dong like the finger of death. Buzz. As the tremendous beam of darkness ripped through the air, it did not make any terrifying loud sound. The yuan power in its trajectory was destroyed entirely. Everyone could clearly sense the devastating power that the beam of darkness contained. That power could pierce through heaven and earth. All the participants on the mountain peak were stunned by that beam of darkness. Even those practitioners who had stepped into the Nirvana Golden ranking had their faces turned pale white. They knew that if they were the ones facing this attack, they would surely die. Lin Dawn is in trouble. Lan Ying, who had just gained an upper hand in her own battle, stared solemnly at the heaven-piercing beam of darkness with her beautiful eyes. Her face was filled with fear and terror. She could not imagine the man named Lin Langtian could execute such a powerful martial art offense. How could everyone that come from the Great Yang Empire be so abnormally strong? This made her question if the Great Yang Empire was really a low-rank empire. These fellows' strength and capabilities would put the geniuses from the top 10 super empires to shame. Swish! The beam of darkness pierced through the sky and blasted towards Lin Dawn with an unavoidable poise. At this moment, Lin Dawn's facial expression became extremely somber. The beam of darkness magnified rapidly in Lin Dawn's eyes. However, under the stunning gazes from the onlookers, Lin Dawn's eyes slowly closed. His hand seal began to form into a dragon head-like shape. It was at this moment that resplendent green light gushed out from his body like a tidal wave. Torrential green light surrounded Lin Dawn's body. Indistinctly, the green light seemed to form a gigantic green dragon illusory figure. It released waves of terrorizing energy undulation. Heavenly dragon aura. On the glowing chairs, the eyes of the super sect's members froze and their faces turned somber. From Lin Dawn's body, they could sense an aura that only a legitimate dragon clan would possess. At this moment, the heavenly dragon aura that was left behind by Qing Shi in Lin Dawn's dantian suddenly erupted. Indescribable waves of boundless energy extended through Lin Dawn's limbs and body with a terrifying speed. As the heavenly dragon aura erupted, the green dragon illusory figure that engulfed Lin Dawn's body began to materialize rapidly. On its gigantic body, the dragon scales were flickering with dazzling green light. Its enormous body was vigorous and powerful, as if it was made of steel. Roar! The gigantic green dragon roared towards the sky. The dragon roar then materialized into frantic shock waves that swept through the arena, creating ripples to form on the light barrier. Materialized dragon skill, green dragon aegis. A deep bellow rang across Lin Dawn's mind as he closed his eyes. At this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes again and changed his hand seal. The gigantic green dragon engulfed Lin Dawn's body and possessed him in an instant. The green glow began to extend outward from the green dragon's body and materialized into a green dragon aegis. The enormous aegis was surrounded by glowing green light. A dragon image then appeared on its body and gave a deafening roar. The body of the aegis was covered with green-colored dragon scales as well. An ancient and awe-inspiring aura was given off by the aegis. Such a powerful defense. The Tao sect old man looked shockingly at the green dragon aegis. He could sense a powerful defensive aura emitting from the aegis. This is an extremely formidable defensive martial art. The dragon aegis was like an exceptionally resistant shield while the beam of darkness was like an extremely powerful spear. Who would gain the upper hand, the aggressor or the defender? A rare look of anticipation appeared on the face of the Tao sect's old man. Swoosh! Naturally, he was not the only one who had such thought. At this moment, everyone on the mountain peak directed their gazes at this sight. Then, under the zealous gazes from the onlookers, the heaven-piercing beam of darkness that was accompanied by a destructive power shot down from the sky like a comet and collided ferociously with the enormous glowing green dragon aegis. Boom! At that moment, a crisp ringing sound resounded throughout the entire heaven and earth, destroying the yuan power in the air completely. Black light tore through the sky and violently struck onto that enormous large green dragon aegis in front of countless number of eyes in an extremely glaring manner. A loud and clear gong resounded upon the collision. It suddenly resounded over the place and spread with lightning-like speed. The substance-like ripple directly shook the Yuan power battle stage until numerous large crack lines appeared. The surrounding light barrier also erupted as waves of cracking ear-piercing sound resounded. Bang! The sonic wave swept over the place. Soon after, an annihilation-like energy storm followed. A kind of distorted shape was formed at the spot where the collision occurred. Green and black light mingled with each other. The scene appeared to be one where the world exploded, and it was being brilliantly displayed. The collision that could not be described emitted a soul-stirring ripple. Everyone could only see the wildly flickering light barrier. The tough light barrier that Liu Tong had placed turned unusually distorted at this moment. It even showed signs of crumbling. Liu Tong looked at this scene. His eyebrows once again frowned tightly, and he had no choice but to act again. Only then did he gradually stabilize that light barrier. After he acted, a shocked expression also flashed across the deep regions of his eyes. He was clearly shocked that Lin Dong and Lin Langtian could actually create such a destructive force when exchanging blows. The monstrous green light and the black glow swept within the light barrier. They eroded and eliminated each other during the uncontrolled collision. That kind of collision was sufficient to tear a 5-yuan Nirvana stage expert into pieces. The exterior of the light barrier was as calm as a quiet lake. Within the light barrier was a destructive raging fluctuation. These two completely different scenes caused one's eyes to feel a kind of dazzled feeling. This fight had surpassed the category of a 5-yuan Nirvana stage expert. Numerous eyes gathered onto the interior of this light barrier. They really wanted to know just whether Lin Dong would be able to survive when faced with this somewhat terrifying attack by Lin Langtian. Under the crisscrossed stares of the crowd, the ripple within the light barrier gradually weakened. That wild and violent flashing green-black light also dimmed and disappeared. The first one who appeared within the light barrier was Lin Langtian's figure. The black light that was emitted from the dark black figure behind him was wrapped around him. It also allowed him to remain standing amidst the raging fluctuation. At this moment, Lin Langtian's eyes were staring firmly at the opposite side of the battle stage. The last remaining green-black light was beginning to scatter at that spot. A blurry yet large Aegis figure also vaguely appeared once again. Lin Langtian's eyes suddenly shrunk upon seeing the blurry Aegis figure. His expression also became extremely dark and solemn. Could it be that even this was unable to finish him off? The blurry Aegis figure became increasingly clear. Finally, it once again appeared in front of all the eyes present in this place. The green dragon Aegis stood quietly. Sunlight poured from the sky and shone on the dragon Aegis. It had a feeling of vicissitude and prestige spreading from it. He has actually withstood the attack. The top of the mountain was in a complete uproar. A shaken expression surged up the eyes of quite a number of people. Exclamations swiftly spread like a tidal wave. Lin Langtian's previous attack was something that even a 5-yuan Nirvana stage expert would have difficulty blocking. Everyone present had stepped into the Nirvana Golden ranking, but other than a rare few, it was likely that no one would have the confidence to it. Yet, Lin Dong had actually relied on the strength of a 4-yuan Nirvana stage to withstand this fierce and vicious attack head-on. How could this not cause everyone to be shocked? This little fellow does indeed possess quite a lot of tactics. That old man from the Dao sect looked at this scene and involuntarily nodded slowly. He grew increasingly pleased with Lin Dong the more he observed the latter. If this fellow was really able to join the Dao sect, it would likely be quite an interesting event. Amidst the focus of all the eyes present, the green dragon Aegis within the light barrier remained quiet for a moment before some activity occurred. A faint green light lingered over the Aegis. Immediately, it began to gradually become paler. Lin Langtian's expression was gloomy as he looked at the paling dragon Aegis. He was just about to move when his eyes suddenly shrunk. He saw a blurry figure suddenly rushed out from within that dissipated dragon Aegis in a quick ghost-like manner. Bang! The figure was so fast that one had difficulty describing it. Even Lin Langtian could only see a blurry green light before that wild and violent ripple, which was accompanied by an enormous pressure, rushed over in midair. Lin Dong had retaliated. Lin Langtian's eyes were ferocious. He suddenly extended his hand and grabbed forward. The dark black figure behind him directly penetrated the empty space with its shriveled hand and grabbed towards that figure. However, the speed of that green figure was just like a thunderbolt. That large hand grabbed forward, only to find that the area in front was empty. The figure had actually easily dodged it. What speed! Lin Langtian's expression changed. Clearly, he was shocked by the Lin Dong's sudden surge in speed. However, he did not have the luxury of time to think about it. The green light flashed in front of his eyes and a human figure had already appeared in a strange manner. Only at this moment did Lin Langtian finally clearly see the figure in front of him. His expression immediately underwent a drastic transformation. The Lin Dong in front appeared to have become larger. His body was covered with green-colored dragon scales. At a glance, he appeared just like a dragon scale armor. A faint green light flickered while a shocking energy fluctuation was continuously emitted from within his body. Swoosh! One could still see a pair of cold blade-like eyes under the green-colored dragon scale armor. Lin Dong suddenly extended his hand. His arm swelled wildly and actually instantly transformed into a green-colored dragon claw. Cold glint surged over the dragon claw. The green scales reflected a densely cold luster that appeared to be a fierce weapon with a shocking offensive strength permeating over it. The hand transformed into a dragon claw. Lin Dong did not pause even for a moment. The dragon claw that contained a terrifying strength violently swiped at Lin Langtian's chest. Kai Kai! A shocking energy ripple was formed over the tip of the dragon claw. It looked just like a wildly rotating whirlpool that emitted a kind of extremely shocking offensive force. That ripple was powerful enough to rip apart a 5-yuan Nirvana stage expert's Nirvana golden body. Lin Langtian did not dare to slight such a ferocious attack from Lin Dong. A thought passed through his mind and the shriveled hand of the dark black figure behind him directly rushed out. After which, it violently collided with Lin Dong's dragon claw. Boom! A terrifying energy wave wildly swept out from the point of contact. That battle stage, which was formed from the Yuan power, appeared to be just like a land, which was just blowed. Its layers had been flipped, causing it to appear extremely miserable. TSK, your strength might be quite good, but it seems a little lacking if you wish to kill me. It appeared that this transformation of yours can only reach this stage. Lin Langtian's face was filled with a ferocious smile. The other hand of the black figure also suddenly clenched. It directly carried a destructive wind as it mercilessly smashed towards Lin Dong's head. This is not all. Cold glint surged within Lin Dong's eyes. He also let out a cold laughter. Immediately, green light lingered on his other hand and it actually swiftly swelled into a vigorous icy cool green-colored dragon claw. Lin Dong's understanding of the green heaven materialized dragon skill had clearly increased at a shocking rate following the countless battles that he experienced previously. Boom! The green-colored dragon claw struck violently outwards and directly grabbed the shriveled skinny hand. A terrifying circular energy ripple once again swept apart. You! Lin Langtian showed signs of becoming extremely furious when he saw that his attack was once again blocked. He did not expect that he was actually still unable to completely finish off Lin Dong after paying such a heavy price. You are right. After having fought for so many years, it is time to end things. Lin Dong lifted his head as Lin Langtian turned furious. He revealed an icy cold smile towards the latter. That smile similarly shocked some traces of a crazy demon. Materialized dragon skill, dragon transformation. A low and deep roar resounded within Lin Dong's heart at this moment. Immediately, the heavenly dragon aura that lingered over Lin Dong's limbs and skeleton suddenly swiftly surged into Lin Dong's muscles and bones. Sizzle sizzle. Lin Dong's arms began to shake violently at this moment. Enormous green scales appeared one after another. His skin also became tough and icy. It seemed that his two arms had been completely transformed into large dragon hands within this short instant. An intense pain spread out from within his bones. However, this caused Lin Dong's eyes to become increasing scarlet. The heavenly dragon aura was extremely overbearing. The body of an ordinary person was unable to endure it. Even the current Lin Dong would have to pay a hefty price in order to transform his arms into that of a dragon. Lin Dong gave a dense smile to Lin Langtian after both of his arms turned into dragon-like arms. Promptly, he jerked his arms before both of his fists struck out. The palm wind that struck out was not the least bit fancy, and it also did not contain even the slightest trace of martial arts. However, the strength packed within it could only be described by the word terrifying. Rumble. The green-colored dragon hand was just like a storm that poured out. The strength appeared to have agglomerated into something substance-like at this moment. This caused the space itself to become distorted. A terrifying energy ripple swept out. A trace of shock also surged out from the deep regions of Lin Langtian's eyes. Immediately, his body suddenly withdrew explosively. After which, that black figure behind also stepped out and covered Lin Langtian's body. Lin Dong's eyes turned bright red and he vaguely showed signs of turning mad. He did not care just how strong this dark black figure in front of his eyes was. His hands, which had turned to that of a dragon, directly became like a storm as it poured out with a terrifying strength that could shatter a mountain. Rumble. The dragon fist violently landed on the dark black figure. A low and deep ear-piercing sound immediately resounded continuously in the sky. The dark black figure was also shaken until it was forced to continuously retreat. Finally, it emitted a bang as it collided onto the light barrier. Swoosh! Lin Dong's figure appeared in front of the dark black figure, which currently had nowhere to retreat. His eyes were scarlet red as his dragon arms swung wildly. It was accompanied by many afterimages as he punched once, twice, thrice. The top of the mountain was silent. Only the deep muffled sound of Lin Dong's fists landing on the dark black figure resounded over the place. Crack! A breaking sound seemed to suddenly appear under this kind of wild and untamed attack that was void of any fancy moves. Everyone was stunned as they observed this scene. The current Lin Dong was extremely ruthless. The fuzzy black human figure collided heavily onto the light barrier. Lin Dong's icy cold eyes vaguely possessed a trace of savageness as he stood before the figure, while green dragon fists that contained a terrifying strength poured down uncontrollably onto the dark black figure like a storm. Bang! 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 Numerous heat-palpitating low thuds sounded out from the figure. Everyone could see the swiftly spreading circular ripples on the light barrier behind the black figure. The current Lin Dong was exactly like a crazy demon. Mo Ling, Liu Bai, and the rest were also stunned as they watched this scene. Clearly, it was also the first time they had seen this usually calm Lin Dong acting with such madness. The energy ripples that spread out from Lin Dong's dragon fists made everyone clearly understand that when the fist landed, even a 5-yuan Nirvana stage expert's Nirvana golden body would have difficulty enduring. In the face of this storm of punches, any other 5-yuan Nirvana stage expert would be smashed to a bloody pulp. You bastard! Get lost! Lin Langtian's body was practically enveloped by that tremendous power. He could sense a terrifying strength frantically penetrating through the dark figure and eroding towards his real body, as terror surged out from in the depths of his eyes. Those eyes of his were red as he struggled madly. He was aware that if Lin Dong continued to beat in this crazy manner, even with the martial soul protecting his body, he would still die without a doubt. Lin Langtian struggled with all his strength, controlling the black figure to block Lin Dong's attack. However, the latter's eyes were currently crimson red, and he ignored Lin Langtian's furious cries. All he did was to raise his fists in a seemingly numb manner and ruthlessly smashed them down. Heh, you are indeed from the main clan and the most dazzling genius of the Lin clan. Lin Langtian, I have already remembered your name since I was very young. Lin Dong's eyes were crimson and malicious, while frightening fists violently struck downwards. It was as though the grudge that had been suppressed within his heart for many years had completely erupted. You are the first person that I have hated. When I first began my training, my only aim was to kill you and make you pay the price for crippling my father. You offal, how could you know just how my father suffered a fate worse than death because of you? How could you know what kind of price I have paid over the years in order to surpass a genius like you? The thin and weak young man from the small mountain in Qingyang town had sweat an endless amount of perspiration. He had no spirit elixirs, nor did he have any resources or backing. All he could rely on was himself. All he could do was to chase the great genius of the clan in this clumsy and stubborn manner, because he was the only hope of that small family. You have nearly caused me to lose my family. Do you think that I will give you a second chance? The corners of Lin Dong's mouth parted. His expression was incomparably ferocious, while his eyes were bright red as he stared at Lin Langtian. This gaze made the latter's entire heart turn cold. Therefore, hand over your life to me, you trash. Lin Dong's right hand tightened once again as monstrous green light surged, gathering together into the shape of a dragon's head on his fist. The fist force that suddenly surged out exploded the air. An invisible concave arc was formed below Lin Dong's fist, before it ruthlessly landed on the black figure. Crack! An unusually deep sound echoed out, as Lin Langtian's pupils tightly shrunk. He could hear another cracking sound suddenly appear at this moment. When he violently lowered his head, he saw the martial soul around his body begin to crumble and scatter. His strongest defense had been forcibly destroyed by Lin Dong. Having lost the protection of the martial soul, how could he block Lin Dong's terrifying dragon fists? Terror suddenly surged out from Lin Langtian's heart like a flood. As he looked towards Lin Dong's terrifying man-devouring appearance, he knew that Lin Dong would show any mercy. Immediately, his body moved before the martial soul completely collapsed and rapidly withdrew. Bang! However, just as Lin Langtian's was backing away, Lin Dong smiled sinisterly. Another fist was thrown forward which directly blasted away the black figure. Moreover, the remaining fist force swept out, catching up to Lin Langtian at lightning speed before ferociously slamming onto the latter's body. Ugh! The force invaded Lin Langtian's body, causing him to spit out a mouthful of fresh blood as his body miserably landed on the battle stage. A 10-feet mark was drawn out on the ground. Lin Langtian's crawled up in a miserable manner immediately after stabilizing his body. Before he could even utter a word, a terrifying force arrived once again. A whip-like leg that contained a frightening force was ruthlessly thrown at Lin Langtian's shoulder like a warhammer. Crack! Half of Lin Langtian's body instantly caved in. His entire person laid paralyzed on the ground. Just as he was about to struggle madly, an enormous dragon claw had already whizzed downwards and firmly grabbed his throat. Lin Langtian struggled to raise his head, only to see the dragon scales begin to withdraw on Lin Dong's face. Currently, the face of the latter was filled with a thick killing intent. I admit, Lin Langtian struggled, his face completely red. There is no victory or defeat here. Only life and death. Lin Dong stared at Lin Langtian. The ferociousness on his face gradually faded bit by bit as he softly laughed. He knew that if he allowed Lin Langtian to escape now, the strength that he had displayed would definitely catch the eye of the super sects. Once he entered a super sect, Lin Langtian would pose a great threat towards him and the Lin family in the Great Yang Empire's Yang City. Lin Dong would obviously not allow this kind of thing to happen. Lin Langtian's eyes were bright red. A golden glow was faintly surging deep within his eyes. I am aware of the Yuan spirit within your body. Lin Dong stared at Lin Langtian and smiled faintly. The coldness in his eyes could not be hidden. Relax, I will not allow either of you to escape. Lin Langtian felt a chill rush across his entire body when he saw the smile on Lin Dong's face. Everyone on the top of the mountain watched this scene where the victory had already been decided. They immediately sighed in relief, appearing to have been relieved of a great burden. Extremely shocked expressions were present in their eyes. That battle earlier had clearly been an eye-opener for them. The extremely wild and violent strength of Lin Dong was sufficient to cause the numerous 5 Yuan Nirvana stage experts to feel a chill. What a powerful physical body! The expert from the Great Desolate Palace in the sky stared at Lin Dong with somewhat bright eyes. Their sect specialized in the training of physical body and their strength was overpowering. Lin Dong's explosive burst of power earlier had clearly caused even him to be surprised. Liu Tong watched this scene indifferently. He could tell that Lin Dong was about to deliver a killing blow. Immediately, he hesitated for a moment and was preparing to say something. Although Lin Langtian had been defeated, he was rather remarkable. Moreover, there seemed to be some mysteries hidden within his body. If he was recruited into their Yuan Gate, he would be considered as someone worth grooming. As long as no one has admitted defeated, the battle will continue until one side dies. Currently, none of them has verbally admitted defeat. What are you so anxious about, Liu Tong? However, just as Liu Tong was about to speak, the old man from the Dao sect faintly smiled and said, "Isn't the victor already obvious?" Liu Tong frowned and asked, "Did anyone admit defeat?" The old man from the Dao sect replied in a casual manner. Liu Tong looked deeply at this old man from the Dao sect and said no more. He could vaguely tell that this old man from the Dao sect seemed to be helping that fellow called Lin Dong. Lin Dong's eyes were indifferent as he watched the wildly struggling Lin Langtian on the battle stage. However, he slowly bent his body down as his hand gently pressed the top of the Lin Langtian's head. "Lin Langtian, it's over. Bring that Yuan spirit within that body of yours to hell with you." Vigorous Yuan power undulations gathered wildly in Lin Dong's palm, while a terrified expression surged up on Lin Langtian's face. At this moment, he could feel death itself. "Lin Dong, don't kill me. This is the grudge between you and Lin Langtian. It has nothing to do with me. As long as you are willing to let me off, I am willing to follow you and obey your orders." A panicked voice was suddenly emitted from Lin Langtian's body while Lin Dong was urged out his Yuan power. It was from the mysterious Yuan spirit. Lin Dong's eyes were indifferent. He merely laughed softly and slowly shook his head. "Goodbye, Lin Langtian. Our grudge ends here." Lin Dong stared at the terrified Lin Langtian. Without hesitation, a force from his palm suddenly burst out before Lin Langtian's despairing and crazy eyes. Crack! The sound of bones breaking resounded in a deafening manner. A clear sound was stealthily echoed from the battle stage as Lin Langtian's wildly struggling body slowly stiffened at this moment. A ferocious yet terrified expression still remained on Lin Langtian's face. The combination of these two emotions appeared exceptionally frightening. Lin Dong's hand grabbed firmly onto the top of Lin Langtian's head. His head had already cracked open. Fresh blood along with his brains flowed out, causing him to appear extremely bloody. Lin Dong's expression was indifferent as he gazed at Lin Langtian, who tenaciously stared back while the life force swiftly disappeared from his eyes. Lin Dong slowly relaxed his hand and wiped off the blood on his clothes. Lin Langtian was dead. As he watched the life force swiftly disappear from this body, Lin Dong knew that his grudge with this fellow, who had pestered him like a ghost for many years, had finally ended. "Father, your son has avenged you." Lin Dong raised his head and inhaled deeply. How many years had he waited for this day? This was the day that the young man, who had endured exhausting and bitter training, was looking forward to, right? However, the current him was no longer that weak youth from back then. His view of the world had now far surpassed the limits of a single Qingyang town or the Great Yang Empire. "Father, Mother, the both of you can live peacefully in the Great Yang Empire. I will not allow anything to disturb the both of you." Lin Dong smiled slightly. His smile was warm and no longer possessed the ferocity from earlier. He lowered his head and looked at Lin Langtian's ice-cold corpse before he spoke. "On account of us being from the same clan, I will get someone to bring you back to the Great Yang Empire. Before this, however, I shall finish off that ghastly thing within your body." The corners of Lin Dong's lips curled slightly. His hand gently pressed against Lin Langtian's forehead. Immediately, a black vortex vaguely appeared on his palm. A wave of devouring power suddenly invaded into Lin Langtian's body. Although the attack earlier had truly killed Lin Langtian, Lin Dong did not forget that there was a mysterious Yuan spirit inside the former's body. Lin Langtian might have died from the earlier attack, but the Yuan spirit would not be completely wiped out. However, given Lin Dong's character, he would clearly not leave a potential trouble like this around. Devouring power surged into Lin Langtian's body. Immediately, it scattered and searched for the broken Yuan spirit hidden within. Trying to hide. The search continued for a moment only to end up being futile. However, Lin Dong did not give up. He merely sneered and continued to increase his search efforts. After searching meticulously for several minutes, Lin Dong discovered a ripple near Lin Langtian's heart. A thought immediately passed through his mind as devouring power immediately formed into a net that sealed the entire region. Lin Dong, we have no grudge between us. You have already killed Lin Langtian, why do you need to hunt me down? At this moment, the Yuan spirit had clearly discovered Lin Dong's seal. The former immediately roared out furiously. Sorry, I do not like to leave loose ends behind. You have helped Lin Langtian all these years and have brought me a great deal of trouble. Therefore, I do not plan on letting you off. Lin Dong did not give the Yuan spirit any chance to argue. With a soft laugh, a thought passed through his mind as devouring power immediately whizzed out, transforming into a large net that on Lin Langtian's chest, before wrapping around a flickering golden light. Through the feedback of information from the devouring power, Lin Dong could see a blurry figure present within that golden light. Is this that Yuan spirit? Lin Dong lifted his eyebrows, feeling a little curious. A Yuan spirit was a mysterious existence that only existed after one had experienced the seventh nirvana stage tribulation. At that time, even if one's physical body was destroyed, one would have a chance of revival as long as one's Yuan spirit was not destroyed. That person would no longer be like others, where there would not be any chance of revival if one's physical body was destroyed. Moreover, it was rumored that when one reached that stage, one could even use the Yuan spirit and take another person's life from tens of thousands of kilometers away. It was incomparably miraculous. That kind of ability was far from what the current Lin Dong and the rest could imagine. The Yuan spirit was clearly unwilling to be captured after it had been wrapped by devouring power, and he immediately began to struggle wildly. However, he was just a mere Yuan spirit which had lost his physical body. Without any support, it was impossible for him to compete with Lin Dong. Devour. Lin Dong's eyes were indifferent. A thought passed through his mind as devouring power erupted. Immediately, the golden light of the Yuan spirit dimmed. He was gradually being swallowed by the devouring power. Isn't this devouring power? The devouring ancestral symbol? You actually possess the devouring ancestral symbol. The Yuan spirit immediately let out a sharp screech upon seeing this scene. His screech contained an incomparable shock. Clearly, he had discovered Lin Dong's secret. Your eyes are quite good. Lin Dong's eyes hardened. Soon after, he chuckled softly. Since this fellow had recognized that he possessed the devouring ancestral symbol, it was all the more reason not to let him off. Lin Dong, please don't kill me. I know many secrets. As long as you allow me to follow you, you will definitely gain many benefits. The Yuan spirit seemed to have sensed the killing intent of Lin Dong and hurriedly spoke. I already have a brother at my side who is over 10,000 times more trustworthy than you. I am afraid that I have no use for someone like you, Lin Dong spoke as he gently smiled, before his eyes quickly turned cold. Devouring power surged wildly and directly wrapped around the Yuan spirit. After which, he was completely swallowed amidst wave after wave of sharp cries. Lin Dong withdrew his hand from Lin Langtian's forehead, while a ray of black light also quietly rushed into his fingertip. There seems to be something extra? Lin Dong observed the devouring power that surged back into his body. Suddenly, he discovered a cluster of golden light within it. The golden light contained the feeling of a Yuan spirit. However, it did not possess any will. It was clear that the consciousness of the Yuan spirit had already been completely removed by him. All that remained was a kind of Yuan spirit power. Lin Dong studied the ball of Yuan spirit golden light. For a moment, he was not sure what to do with it. After musing for a while, a wave of devouring power wrapped around it and was brought into his dantian. Although Lin Dong believed that the consciousness within this Yuan spirit had already been removed by him, the cautious Lin Dong would clearly not leave behind any hidden danger. When he was done, Lin Dong finally withdrew his mind. He patted his hands and with a wave of his sleeves, Lin Langtian's corpse was kept into his Qianquan bag. After which, he lifted his head and looked around him. At this moment, he finally discovered that the entire place was silent. Numerous eyes contained fear and respect as they stared at him. Clearly, they were shaken by his viciousness. Lin Dong was too lazy to say anything when he saw this. These people did not understand the grudge between him and Lin Langtian. He knew that if he was the one who was defeated this time around, his fate would likely be even worse than Lin Langtian's. Lin Dong's eyes looked towards the old man from the Dao sect. After which, he smiled towards the latter. It was all thanks to this old man that he was able to finish off his greatest threat, Lin Langtian. The old man from the Dao sect stroked his beard when he saw Lin Dong looking over. Lin Dong's actions did not cause any ill feelings. He was likewise no saint and was clearly aware of just how foolish it was to have a merciful heart towards one's opponent. Liu Tong looked deeply at Lin Dong, before waving his hand. A vast and powerful voice resounded, "Since the first round of battles has ended, there is no need for any unnecessary words. Let the second round begin." Lin Dong's eyes swept around him. The first round of the Nirvana Golden Ranking battles had already ended. Little Flame and Little Martin had advanced as expected. The only thing that surprised Lin Dong was that even Suru had managed to pull through. However, from how she was gasping for breath, she had clearly experienced quite a fierce battle. Lin Dong's eyes shifted away from Suruo. After which, he looked at Qin Qian, who had been observing him. The latter's face no longer had the smile from earlier. Instead, there was a strange feeling in its place. His eyes caused Lin Dong to frown slightly. The opponents from the second round will still be decided by drawing lots like before. Liu Tong waved his hand as a light circle once again appeared, before exploding in the air. However, just as those lights were about to fall again, Lin Dong's pupils suddenly shrunk. He abruptly raised his head and looked towards an empty spot in the sky. An extremely strange energy had suddenly exploded at that spot. "Ha ha, there is no longer a need for any battles. We have become a little impatient from waiting." An unusual black cloud seeped out from the emptiness, covering the sky as it spread. One could vaguely see some human figures within the black cloud. Who dares? The experts from the 8 super sects had a drastic change of expression at this moment. They abruptly stood up from their light chairs. Those expressions of theirs were stern as they watched the black cloud. There was also some commotion at the top of the mountain. Most people were shocked when they saw this scene. Clearly, they were uncertain as to just what had happened. However, some of the sharper ones could vaguely sense an ominous feeling. This formation. Lin Dong's expression slowly became grave. His eyes narrowed slightly as he watched the omnipresent black cloud in the sky, while he deeply exhaled. As expected, those fellows have made their move. This video will end here.